Why the world is better than ever, but we feel worse. Now, what about it? So let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like life is supposed to be better than this? Like we've got all these advancements, technological, modern medicine, endless opportunities, social media connecting us with people from all around the world. And yet, deep down, you just feel off, like something is missing. Or worse, you feel anxious, maybe even hopeless. If you ever felt that way, trust me, you're not alone. In fact, this is something a lot of people are struggling with today. It's almost like the better things get, the more disconnected or overwhelmed we feel. It's a weird contradiction, right? So let's today dive into what some people are calling the paradox of progress. It's the idea that even though life is objectively improving in so many ways, people are feeling more hopeless than ever before. Do you see this? We are living in a time where, by almost every measurable standard, life is better than it's ever been. Technology has advanced in ways our grandparents could have only dreamt of. Think about it. Our phones have more computing power than the technology that put a man on the moon. We've got a medical breakthrough that are extending life expectancy. Poverty levels are declining globally. Economics are growing. By all accounts, this is progress, right? You agree? But here's where it gets weird. With all these advancements, rates of anxiety, depression, and feelings of hopelessness are skyrocketing, especially in developed countries. And it makes you wonder why. How can we be getting better yet feeling worse? Now, this is what's been called the paradox of progress. And it's something that thinkers like Mark Manson, in his book of Hope, have pointed out. Manson talks about how, even though life is improving on paper, we are seeing rising anxiety and stress. It's almost as if the more we achieve, the more worried we become about holding on to it all. Sounds familiar? Now, I want you to think about this. 100 years ago, people lived in smaller communities, knew just a handful of people intimately, and their very worries were pretty local, maybe about the crops, the weather, the health of their families. Fast forward today, and we are constantly plugged in. We have access to a fire hose of information, news, social media, politics, work emails. It's a lot. And what happens when you have too much information? You get overwhelmed. Ever sat down to pick a movie and found yourself scrolling through Netflix for like 30 minutes because there are too many options? And that's choice paralysis. It's one of the unintended side effects of progress. The more options we have, the more pressure we feel to make the perfect choice. And the more anxious we become about choosing wrong. Plus, let's be honest, social media. It's a double-edged sword. It's great that we can stay connected with people from all over the world, but it also means we are constantly comparing our life to someone else's highlight reels, right? Everyone's life looks so perfect online, and it makes us feel like we are not doing enough, like we are falling behind. And that, my friend, can be really toxic. Now, all of this is leading to a pretty serious mental health crisis. Depression, anxiety, these are the things we are hearing about more and more. And what's shocking is that these issues aren't just affecting adults. They are hitting younger generations too. In fact, research shows that depression rates are rising the fastest among the people in their teens and their 20s. And you would think with all the opportunities available today, more education, better healthcare, advanced technology, people would be more content. But the opposite is happening. It's like we are chasing something that's always just out of reach. And when we don't catch it, we feel worse about ourselves. And it's not just about mental health either. People are feeling more lonely now. Despite being more connected digitally, we've got social media friends, sure, but how many real life connections do we have? The kinds of relationships, friendships, where you can sit down with someone face to face, just talk without distractions. Now, those kind of deep connections are becoming rarer, and it's making people feel more isolated. So, why is this happening? Why are we feeling so alone? Well, it's not just about how we interact with each other. It's also about how we feel about the world around us. People today are losing trust in institutions, whether that's government, the media, or even their own communities. We've seen a rise in political polarization, and misinformation has made it harder to trust what we hear. When we can't trust anyone, it's no wonder we feel more isolated. There's also the fact that so many of our interactions are happening online now. While that can be convenient, it doesn't replace face-to-face connection, the kind that humans need. Social media can create an illusion of connection, but it's not the same thing as having someone physically there to share a moment with you. Now, here's something really thought-provoking and honestly pretty disturbing. You would think that in wealthier, safer societies, people would be happier, right? But the data tells us a different story. In fact, studies show that in some of the wealthiest, most developed countries, suicide rates are actually higher than in poorer countries. That doesn't make sense at first glance, does it? But when you think about it, it starts to click. When your basic needs are met, which is food, shelter, safety, you start to look for more. You start to ask yourself deeper questions like, what's my purpose? What's my meaning in life? And if I can't find those answers, it can lead to some dark places. It's like we're all on this endless treadmill, chasing success, wealth, and whatever we think is going to make us happy. But once we get there, it's not enough. And that's when the hopelessness can really set in. We've been conditioned to believe that material progress equals happiness, but in reality, it's not just that simple. No. So where does that leave us? Is there a way to reconcile all this progress with the emotional toll it's taking on us? I think there is. We just need to redefine what we mean by progress. It's not just about material advancements or technological breakthroughs. It's about emotional well-being, connection, and purpose. We need to shift our focus more from a balanced approach. Think about the rise of movements like minimalism or slow living. People are starting to realize that less can actually be more when it comes to finding happiness and meaning. We can also look to examples of communities that prioritize connection over consumption. Places where people gather in person, share experiences, and build relationships. That's where true happiness is found, in the real, not in the virtual. At the end of the day, we can't stop progress, and nor should we. Progress has brought us incredible things, but what we can do is becoming more mindful about how we engage with it. We need to be aware of the paradox and how it can impact our mental health, our relationships, and our overall sense of well-being. So the next time you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to achieve more, take a step back. Ask yourself, what really matters to me? Is it more success? Is it more connection? More peace of mind? More joy in little things? Because sometimes the key to progress isn't about moving forward faster. It's about slowing down and finding meaning in the present moment. Thanks for watching. And remember, you're not alone in this. If you found this video helpful, please give a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.